Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Joshana here to talk about a friggin' book rating system. I've had quite a few people ask me about my rating system because, as I mentioned when I'm doing wrap-ups and things and talking about what I'm rating a book, I have a 1 to 10 scale and then I translate that into my pushinicorns or stars on Goodreads. Whatever. And I was originally using a rating system that I kind of piggybacked off of from Book Roast, and I've linked it before. I'll link it down below in this video too, so you can check out her rating system. And I really liked how she did it as far as giving herself a lot of different categories and rating those individual categories on a 1 to 10 scale, getting the average score, and then translating that into a 1 to 5 star system. And at first, I literally just like copied hers. I have since changed it a little bit. And then recently, and like I said, I've been asked like, oh, how do you do it? And I was like, I briefly talked about it in one video randomly, but I don't even remember which video, and I didn't go into like a lot of depth. And then I saw the lovely ladies, Jessica and Christina over at Game of Tomes. They recently posted theirs, and I really liked their categories. And so I kind of took bits and pieces of theirs as well and revamped mine. So I'm going to talk about it now. So Book Roast scale, just real quick, she calls it her caw pile because she has C for characters, A for atmosphere, W for writing style, P for plot, I for intrigue, L for logic, and then E for enjoyment. And those are the categories. She rates each category on a 1 to 10 and then gets an average, and then that translates into a star. And she does hers with just solid stars so that it works with Goodreads. So each category, she does 0 to 3 is very poor, 4 to 6 is mediocre, 7 to 9 is like it's really good, and then 10 means it's outstanding. So she gets that average. If that average is 0 to 1, no stars. If it's 1.1 to 2.2, 1 star. 2.3 to 4.5, 2 stars. 4.6 to 6.9, 3 stars. 7.0 to 8.9, 4 stars. And then 9.0 to 10 is 5 stars. At least from memory, that's what I had written down that she had. So initially, I kind of changed mine a little bit. I did like caw-piced instead of caw-piled. Instead of logic, I did consistency. And then I added D for dialogue because I really hate it when books have just like awkward, cringy dialogue. It really affects my enjoyment level. Then for me personally, I can have such a different, I know on Goodreads, it doesn't give you half star as an option, but for me personally, I need to have half stars, at least for 3s and 4s, because I feel like if something is a 1 or 2, it's just is a 1 or a 2, right? And if it's a 5, like it's a 5, that's perfect, or damn near perfect, right? So I changed mine. I do now 4.6 to 6.0 is just 3 stars. 6.0 to 6.9 is 3.5. And then for going up from there, 7.0 to 7.9 is solid 4. 8.0 to 8.9 is 4.5. And then 9 to 10 is 5. So there's that. And I have pictures, I hope. And again, that's just me personally, like I said, like, because I was seeing a lot of books as 3 stars or 3 pushinicorns for me. But I was like, when I was seeing this list of 3 stars, like some of them I was like, I didn't really like it that much, but it wasn't a 2 star. But then others I was like, nah, but I really liked that quite a bit. So that's why I changed that, and now I do the half. Obviously on Goodreads I can't. So if it's 3.5, I'll give it a 4, and then I specify in my review, like actually 3.5. And then, like I said, upon seeing Jessica and Christina's video over at Game of Tomes, I just was kind of inspired to change up some of my categories a little bit. Because I just wasn't finding, again, it's a very personal thing, right? Like what speaks to you in books and what will like affect your reading experience. So I went and changed it, and I still have characters as a category. So for me, I'm judging if the characters are well-rounded, if they're complex, if they have generally good like arcs You know what I mean? And then as far as like consistency, I just kind of loop that into character. Like, do they behave in character? And then if I liked and disliked who I was supposed to like and dislike. Because that happens for me sometimes in books where I'm like, I feel like the author wants me to like this character, this main character, and I hate them like so hard. They're so annoying. Writing style. For me, this is obviously very subjective. All of this is very subjective, but for me, the writing style, I lumped in dialogue with this. Like, if the dialogue is good and makes sense for the age range, for the characters, if the pacing is good, you know, if it flows well. And sometimes books will have kind of less action-heavy parts, and it can be okay or not, right? Like, is it still like flowing well? Is it still moving the story along? Or am I bored out of my effing mind and I'm just like, what is the point of this? But just if the writing style in general works for me, if it's not too simplistic or too flowery, if it feels authentic. Plot is another category for me. If the plot is cohesive, if it makes sense, if it's unique, and if it's intriguing. A plot can have a whole lot of shit going on, but I don't care about it. That's not great, right? So yeah, if it's keeping my interest and just if it makes sense in general versus some plots where you're like, what in the frick are we doing here, guys? A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. And then this one is very key because I read a lot of fantasy, world building. If the world is described and explained well, and if it's cohesive, if it all makes sense together, if it's interesting and unique. The biggest thing I think with world building for me is if I can see it. If it's explained so well and described so well that I can like picture this world, but I'm not overwhelmed, right? Like, there's not just like too much shit going on. It needs to be organized. And then if a book is memorable or has an impact, so memorable / impact is one category for me because it's kind of the same. There's times where I read a book that I'm like, oh, I liked it, but literally as soon as I finish it, I kind of forget about like what happened in it. I forget the main character's name. And then a week later, I'm like, I don't know. And a year later, I couldn't tell you what happened in the book or who the people are. So if I finish a book and if I'm still thinking about it, am I still thinking about this book days after I finished it? You know what I mean? Like, it had some sort of impact on me in some way, whether it was just fun and engaging and just like, oh my God, or there was a character I just loved, or if it was like important in some way. And then enjoyment. That is still very important because, again, there are some books that I know are important and impactful and I'm glad they exist in the world, but I just didn't really enjoy the reading experience all that much. And this can sometimes be affected by things like if I'm listening to it on audiobook. And I don't know if that's fair to a book or not, but it happens, you know? So there you have it. I rate every book that I read on those categories individually. I get that average, and then I translate it into a Pushinicorn rating for y'all. I feel like that was just way too fucking long. I'm sorry. All right, I'm gonna stop talking, at least for this video. Let me know down below if you guys also use kind of a more in-depth rating system, or if you're cool just being like, yeah, I liked it, 3 stars, you know, whatever. Which is what I used to do, and I just was finding that for me personally, if you haven't noticed, I ramble. I need some structure. I like organization. I do well with organization and a little bit of structure. And again, I'll have down below linked Book Roast's video talking about her rating scale, as well as Game of Tomes, so you can see the origination of where I got my combined rating system from. But thanks for your time, guys. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.